In this video, I'm going to show you how to reassociate an Infowise associated item from one parent to a different parent using the Infowise update item action. So let's start out by taking a look at the lists. We have the WI projects list. This is the parent list. It currently has 4 projects, and this list has an Infowise associated items field named project tasks, which hold tasks for each of these projects. I'm going to create a new task here. We'll say get coffee and assign that to Will. Okay, so we've created a new task and it's automatically associated itself to the Apples project. This is your default out-of-the-box Infowise associated items behavior. All right, but now the goal is to move that new task from the Apples project to a different project. Let's say we're going to move it into the Grapes project. If we take a look at the Grapes project, currently it has 2 different tasks, but it doesn't have our new task. Okay, so we have the new task created, and we're going to use an action to move it from apples to grapes. But first off, what we need to do is give the action a way to know which task it needs to operate on. So let's take a look at the WI project tasks list. This is the child list, which holds all of the tasks for all of the projects. And you can see here we have the new task right there. List is very simple. It just has the title, assigned to, and status. However, if we go into this expanded view that I've created, we also see a parent ID field. Now, this field is just a field which I have set up myself to map which project each of these tasks is assigned to. So we can see that the Get Coffee task is currently assigned to project number 1. And what we want to do is change this so that instead of being project number 1, we're going to move it to project number 3. There we go. Okay, so now we can see that the parent ID has been changed to project 3. Of course, this has nothing to do with the associated items itself. So if we go into our Apples project, we'll see that the item is still there because I haven't actually reassociated it yet. Okay, so now I'm going to go and create my action. So from the WI projects list, I'm going to go to the Infowise design screen and then go down to actions. Okay, and here we can see our actions for the WI projects list. What we're going to do is make a new action. I'm going to call it Reassociate Project Tasks. In this case, I don't necessarily want this action to happen on any events, but I do want to have it happen when I click a button. So I'm going to turn on manual execution. And then in my action settings, now here's where I tell it how to update the field. So importantly, I'm in the projects list, which is the parent, and I'm going to be modifying the child list, which is WI project tasks. So I'll change the list to project tasks. Now, when we're looking at this from a parent to a child, we end up with this bonus field here named parent field name. Now, this is the behind-the-scenes link that Infowise uses to map the associated items to their parents. So how do we remap this item from an older parent to a newer parent? Well, simply all we have to do is choose the field. There we go, project tasks. This is the name of the associated items field in the parent, is project tasks. And what I want to do here is remove the braces. There we go. So it's just the string of the name of the field. Add. Okay, so parent field name to project tasks. And now I want to control which items are going to be updated in that list. So this is where that parent ID field I showed you earlier comes into play. So here I'm going to do parent ID equals the ID of the parent, the current parent. There we go, ID. Okay. So we've got this set up to where it's going to update the parent field name link to be the current project, and it is going to update the child such that the parent ID equals the ID of the parent. Now we don't need any conditions for this list because we're just going to trigger it on the button. There we go. So I'll save that. There we go. We've got our new action there, Reassociate Project Tasks. I'll close the actions and go back to the list. Okay, so here's the WI projects list. Now I am going to reassociate that field from apples to grapes. Now I know as the admin that grapes ID equals 3, which is what I had set the parent ID to be equal to. So if I go into here and run the action, there we go from the button. This is Office 365. If you're on-prem, you'll see the button in the ribbon menu itself. There we go, and it said success. So now if we go back, we can see here that it has successfully moved to this new project. So let's take a look again at the apples project. We can see that the item has removed itself from that project tasks and it has moved into the grapes project. So once again, if I wanted to update a different item, I'd go into my sub associated items list and I would edit my linking field here. So let's say instead of 3, I want that to go to 5 now. There we are. Wait till it's done. Okay, so now we have Get Coffee going to 5. And now I have to go into my projects. Orange's project is ID number 5. And currently it does not have the Get Coffee action. But if I were to run this action from the View window, Run Actions, Reassociate Project Tasks, there we are. It is going to have moved Get Coffee to this project. Now, one thing to note, I used project ID in the, or parent ID rather, in the project tasks subgroup, but you could use anything you wanted. Really, the important part of this column is that we have a way to identify those items which we want to be acting on. Normally, I would just do ID equals ID for one of these actions, but in this case, I'll take you back to the action here. But in this case, it's really important to make sure that you are only acting on those items which you want to reassociate. So if we go back to our item or our action here, you can see that I had set this up to parent ID equals ID of the parent. Perhaps a better option instead of ID would be the project name, so that just looking at it, I don't see 1, 2, 3, 5. I see apples, oranges, grapes, raspberries. Just as long as the field that you're picking here is a unique value, you'll be all set. And that's all. So that's how you reassociate associated items from one parent to a different parent using a Infowise update list item action.